TG Geeks, episode 212, March 11th, 2019. LGBTQ Women in TV and Film. Hello and welcome to another webcast from TGGeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre. If it's in the geekosphere, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we are coming to you from TG Squared Studios in It Got Cool Again, Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, also coming to you from Winter is here.
Not quite.
Winter is leaving?
Well, I thought it was gone. I just commented.
Surprise!
Yeah, I commented the other day that the chill in the air had gone in the morning, and now it's back.
Now it's back.
I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, and that meaning Phoenix, Arizona.
Yes, so we're going to get right to it.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the two gay geeks are discussing this.
We have an interview with Danielle Jablonski, who is one of the founders and co-directors of Clexacon, which is LGBTQ women in characters, TV, film, comic books,
or genre, you name it. I'm sorry.
This, that, and the other thing. So we're going to talk to her and see what this Clexacon is all about. We have our birthday shout-outs as usual and our featured podcast of the week. And then we have our feedback segment. We have a little bit this time. And then in our second episode, we're going to talk about...
Second episode?
Second episode. Yeah.
Tune
in next week when we have our second episode.
Guys, this is the first episode of the TG Geeks. Right! Forget the fact that it's number 212.
The second... Said it again.
You almost did, didn't you?
I did. Second segment.
Wow, you're stuck on that whole episode thing.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about episodes earlier. Anyway, our second segment, we're going to talk about a couple of TV shows and a movie that we've seen. And then we have a weekly recap as usual and a follow-up item. So we're going to get right to talking to Danielle right now. And this time we have on the show Danielle Jablonski. She is one of the directors of Clexacon, and we're going to find out exactly what that is here in just a little bit. Welcome, Danielle.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us who you are and how you kind of got into what you're doing now, and then we'll talk about what is Clexacon here in just a minute.
Sure. I'm one of the co-directors of Clexacon. It's a media and entertainment event for LGBTQ women, and I got involved pretty much from the get-go. There were some 2016, 2017 television year was a really bad year for LGBTQ women characters on TV. A lot of them being killed off, and one in particular was killed off, and it really upset a lot of people, me included, and some people had the idea to get people together to celebrate that show, and I was really interested in that, and I was really interested in expanding that to be about much more than one show, because queer female characters are so often treated poorly on TV, and I really believe that media has a massive impact. So I wanted to get involved in something that could maybe help change that a little bit or do something positive for our representation on screen.
Great. And what is your background that kind of led to this? And obviously, it's something that's going on, 3 or 4 years now for Clexacon.
This is going to be our third
year.
Event in Las Vegas, which is our home base, and we've also done one pop-up in London last November. But before this, actually, none of the people currently involved in the event, or actually ever involved in the event, really have any kind of background in doing events on this scale.
Wow.
We're all just really passionate about it. So like the first year we were like, oh, we should really go check out some conventions now that we're running one. So we've really, yeah, it was kind of funny. But it was, I think it was really good for us to come in without that experience in a sense, because we were able to see what other people were doing and take the things that we thought were good, not take some of the things that we thought wouldn't work so well for us, and be able to really make an event that we thought would be great for our community. So we were able to like pick and choose things that we wanted to do, and we were able to add things like we decided we wanted to do a film festival. So we added a film festival. Most conventions don't have like a full 3-day film festival.
Oh, wow.
And then we added a comedy night. That's not necessarily a usual thing. So we kind of turned it into not just a regular Comic-Con, but more of like a full festival atmosphere that's partially Comic-Con, partially just a really cool festival.
That's really cool. We have our kind of one of our things now is independent filmmakers. We've talked to a lot of women independent filmmakers, a lot of gay filmmakers, and you know, we picked up a lot of people at film festivals, and film festivals can be an absolutely wonderful thing to spotlight filmmakers and people in the industry, as well as the LGBTQ plus community. It's amazing what women filmmakers can do. We just talked to one of our favorite friends who is a female filmmaker, and we talked about the Women in Horror Month, and which was February, and it's amazing. So film festivals are kind of in our ballpark, or bailiwick, shall we say.
Yeah, but there's something else really great about film festivals, and it touches on a subject that obviously Clexacon is all about. It's not just the representation, but I think it's also the treatment, because you hit on something that has been a bit of a bugaboo for both me and Keith, and that is, you know, you mentioned how you see women of the LGBTQ community being killed off in movies and TV shows, and we've seen that unfortunately just way too many times. It's like somebody from the LGBTQ community cannot be happy and have a long life on television or in movies, and why is that? Why is that going on?
Yeah. So that,
I mean, I think it has a long history. Like you can trace that back. I think it was the Hays Code. Like it ingrained all of this in Hollywood, but it's kind of been an uphill fight, and the fact that it still is, and it's such a common trope. Like in 2019, is really sad and really kind of upsetting. So we're really excited to be highlighting queer women, trans, and non-binary people who are creating content and telling stories that maybe have a happy ending, or at least the characters are actual real characters that have developed. They have their own storylines, and they're not just there to drive a straight character storyline, and they're not expendable. They're right. Important characters. I think that's the important thing.
Yeah, and that is a great thing, and what you're doing right now, especially with the whole Me Too thing going on and continuing, and I think that it is imperative that we let people in our community, as well as the female and the marginalized communities, to be heard. And I think it's wonderful that you are spotlighting that, and it's great. So tell us what this Clexacon is totally about. I mean, you highlighted some of the things, but what do you have going on this year that you want to kind of really spotlight?
Well, we kind of think about Clexacon having a couple of different pillars. One is just creating a space where thousands of queer women can come together from all over the world for 4 days in a really safe, welcoming, fun environment. And I think there aren't often spaces like that, so to be able to create that is like great in itself. Another part of it is bringing together content creators and supporting them. So one of the things we're really excited about this year is we've added a full day for a creators lab, and we're bringing in industry professionals from all over Hollywood, as well as LGBTQ filmmakers, and we're going to be doing a full day of panels and workshops and networking, specifically so that people who are creating content or want to create content can learn some new skills and meet some people to, working in the film and TV industry is so often about who you know. So being able to connect people in that way is really important for us. And then the other thing that we're trying to do is really celebrate good representation and bringing in actors who are LGBTQ or played LGBTQ roles to talk about that and celebrate it and talk about how do we get better representation, how do we get more of the good, less of the bad, how do we educate allies to do a better job in the industry, how do we get more queer people involved in actually creating content and also being high enough in the industry to make the decisions about what is greenlit, because we need people in those positions of authority to make those decisions as well. So I'm really excited this year about the Creators Lab. I think that's going to be fantastic. It's really exciting to see filmmakers come together and meet at our event and then come back the next year with the project they're working on. That's like a really cool thing that we love to see.
That's great.
Cool. Now, I've been noticing, obviously, when you look at the independent film market, there is just this wonderful wealth of content that is there that gives really great representation for both, gay men, gay women, people who are transgendered, etc. And I think there has been this misconception when you look at big studio and big mainstream television productions. I think there's been this misconception that we've made it, shall we say. People look at shows like Will and Grace and say, "Oh, look, you guys have made it." And it's like, I don't think we're really quite there. What do you think what do you think is necessary in order for us to finally break through that glass ceiling? Because it really is there, in my opinion.
I think it's definitely there. I think there are more and more people getting into the industry and working up the ranks to a position where we're starting to see women and queer people in positions like as showrunners, who are then able to actually drive the storyline and make sure that queer characters are written well and represented well. We need more people in those positions. Until we get that, if we have people who don't understand our communities or don't care particularly about our communities, they're not necessarily going to be able to tell our stories well if they even think to include our stories.
Oh, that's a good point.
So I think it's really about those levels, getting queer people or allies who understand our communities and care about our communities into those positions of authority is when we're going to really start seeing change. And we are starting to see that now. There are some incredible showrunners out there who make sure that their writing room is full of diverse staff who can tell authentic stories. So that's really hopeful and encouraging, and I think that that's going to continue, which will be great.
Now, that's going to be my next question. Are we actually beginning to see a change happen in more mainstream media? I mean, obviously, there is something going on, and I think the Netflix series Sense8 was probably one of the biggest breakthrough shows to come out there. I mean, because you not only had a lesbian, but you had a transgendered lesbian in there as well, plus a male gay couple. So I think there was some really great diversity there. So I think we're seeing something happen, which is a good thing, but I don't know, maybe I'm just a little too impatient.
Aren't we all?
I mean, we've been waiting a long time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, Sense8 was incredible. There are some shows out there right now that are doing a really good job of including queer characters and diverse characters. I think year over year, like, you can see an improvement, and we're like, just at our event, the number of people that we can now invite to our event to come in and talk about their shows is increasing each year, and it's fantastic to see. So I am hopeful about that.
That was going to be my next.
It's been a long time coming. I just wanted to be faster.
That was going to be my next question. So this is going to be Clexacon number 3. Obviously by virtue of being your third one, that clearly indicates that there's some level of success that is happening here. But how has been the feedback? I mean, how are people receiving the Clexacon, and how has it grown from year to year?
Our growth from year 1 to year 2 was incredible. I think because we're the only event in the world that I know of that is so focused on queer women and the actresses and filmmakers side of things on the scale that we do it. Nobody was doing this. So our first year, we had people from 20-something countries and all over the country come in. We had 2,200 people show up for our first event ever, which looking back, is kind of mind-blowing. And then for year 2, we had over 4,000 people show up. So I think that it's something that we crave. You know, we want to have a space where there's thousands of people who are like us, who are interested in geeky, nerdy things like us, and want to geek out about TV shows and comics and things like that. And we want to be able to meet the people who play these roles or write these roles and are creating these stories for us. So we've been incredibly lucky that there has been so much support. Last year we had people attend from, I think it was 43 countries, and every state except one.
Wow.
So people come from everywhere to attend because there's really nothing like it.
That's amazing.
You had made mention how for this year there are going to be people from the industry. How is the industry responding, and on what level? I mean, are you getting any kind of feedback, or is anybody from the Clexacon organization, are they hearing any rumblings from any of the, the big studio houses, looking at this, giving comments, either positive or negative? I mean, I'd be curious to see how people are, in the industry are responding to this.
I'm not sure if we're actually hitting that we're not getting feedback from studio houses. Who we're getting feedback from is LGBTQ women who work at these studios or in production, or across different aspects of the industry. So we're getting feedback individually from people saying, this is amazing, we need this is going to help us make our voices heard within our companies and within the industry, and that we need more people saying these things and pushing for better representation, so that we can have the more voices we have pushing for that, the quicker we'll actually be able to make change. So I'm hopeful that we will be part of the discussion that actually, or the movement that actually does create change. And we're seeing change on TV and in film. We're seeing more representation. We're not getting direct feedback from the studio level, though, yet. One day, maybe.
Yeah, interesting. So we had talked about people not being happy. It's not allowed for a gay couple to be happy, or a lesbian couple to be happy, or whatever. And the thing that just raised a horrific uproar was, and I'm going to go out here and say it, was
here it comes,
when they killed Dr. Culber on Star Trek Discovery. It was like the whole community, everybody, even people outside of our community, were saying, how can you do this? And, he's back this season. They kind of started to backpedal and say, oh no, he's going to be part of blah, 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 this, and right. I wonder how much that was true, or how they said, maybe we should start saying something good.
Yeah, maybe we really need to rethink
yeah, like how
this.
much of it was a reaction, right?
Exactly.
Was that a reaction to found outrage? And it'd be so interesting to know, how those decisions are being made, whether it is because they realize that they've made a terrible mistake, or if they were actually thinking all along this would happen and they thought it would be a good idea to kill somebody off temporarily. It's just that process of not thinking about how killing off a queer character is going to impact the community and how upset you're going to make people. Because we hear often creators who aren't in our community, they're telling us, well, we kill off straight people all the time, what's the problem, without recognizing the history and the impact it has when you have so few characters. You can't just kill off half of them. It doesn't work that way.
Exactly.
Well, it comes off as tone deaf, and
partially,
and that
absolutely.
that is, and the whole. We're talking about not only the gay community or LGBTQ community, but the Black community, the Hispanic community, all of these, communities that are something other than cisgendered white male, characters, and that, and I'm sorry, I'm a white male, but I'm certainly not of that ilk, shall we say?
No.
I certainly have my own privilege, but I am part of a disparaged community as well, and an overlooked community, and so I have to raise my voice, and I am so glad that you are raising your voice about LGBTQ women and characters. And you mentioned comic books, and I don't know if you're a comic book geek or nerd, but I think it's wonderful that there are women, not only, LGBTQ women, but women in general in that industry, as well as the gaming industry and the whole thing that people have just, the trolls try to keep us down, and we're raising a stink about it. And I'm so glad.
We're making inroads, definitely, within different avenues of the overall geek community, if you want to call it that. I mean, I think it's just a matter of time before we really do, like I said, break that glass ceiling, and really crack into the mainstream. I think we're getting there. So with Clexacon, obviously this, and please forgive me the term that I'm going to use, but this is more than just a big rah kind of get together. Rah, everybody go out there and make a difference. Obviously, you're providing seminars and whatnot for people. You're giving them tools to be able to, at least imagine you would, giving them some sort of means and advice and information as to how they can go about and make that difference. Am I correct in that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of our goals, is to not just talk about it, but to actually help people do it. That's really important to us. We have actually, I think this year, over 120 different panels and workshops.
Wow.
So there's you can come and learn about every kind of aspect about LGBTQ representation in film and TV and comics and books. We have people from across every industry coming in to talk about how you can get involved, how you can get ahead. It's just chock full of great information.
Super. So do you want to give us the specifics on Clexacon this year, where it's at, when it takes place, and all of that kind of neat stuff?
Yeah, so it's happening in Las Vegas. Our host hotel is the Tropicana Las Vegas. We'll be there April 11 through April 15. Our Creator Lab and Academic Day are on April 11th, and then the 12th, 13th, 14th is the bulk of, the celebrities are coming in, and you can meet with them and get autographs, photographs, and that's when we have another 100 so panels. So anytime during that period, come into town, it'll be fantastic.
Cool.
Great. Is there any kind of, so let me ask this, where can people learn more about Clexacon? I mean, is obviously it's got to be a website? Is there any kind of social media presence for this? Be it Twitter or Facebook. Where can people go to learn more about Clexacon if they're so interested?
All of the information is on our website at Clexacon.com. Clexacon.com. We also have a big presence on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. So if you search for Clexacon on any of those platforms, you will get all of the information. We announce everything across all those platforms.
Wow, this has been absolutely wonderful.
Very interesting.
And thank you, Danielle, for being on the show to talk about Clexacon this time.
Thank you so much. It's been great chatting.
Hi, I'm Patricia Chica, director, producer, and here you are listening to my favorite podcast, The Two Gay Geeks. Oh, yeah.
That's a fascinating interview to talk to Danielle about their...
It was eye-opening.
Yeah.
I would say that. It clearly shows that we're not as mainstream as we had hoped.
Yeah, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Yep. So things that things to think about if you want to hear about LGBTQ women and all those different genres. Check it out. It's in Las Vegas. And here we have a few selected birthdays for March 11th through March 18th, 2018. March 11th, Anton Yelchin.
Who left us way too soon, tragically.
Yeah, tragically. Alex Kingston and John Barrowman on the same day.
That is a pairing. Doctor Who fans want to see these two. They want to see Captain Jack, and they want to see
River Song
in the same story.
Yep.
Together,
that
in
would
the
be
same
one.
scene, interacting with each other.
Yeah. And Douglas Adams is on March 11th. That would be great. He could have written an episode.
Oh, man.
It would have been a great episode.
From his pen, wow.
Oh, my gosh, I know. Also on March 11th, Lawrence Welk.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Oh, my Lord. I remember every Saturday night.
I thought for us it was Sunday night.
Was
we
it?
had Yeah.
I think it was Saturday at my grandparents' house. Oh, my God. You had to watch Lawrence Welk before you could do anything.
Yeah, we did it every Sunday night. But, there was also only 3 networks.
Well, that's true.
So there was not a lot to watch. We just turned it on because it was there.
Yeah, and then during the week, if we were over at my grandparents' house, it was after Gunsmoke. My grandfather had to watch Gunsmoke.
Indeed.
Yes.
Okay.
Also on March 11th, Astor Piazzolla, who wrote a wonderful opera, a Argentine tango
Yes,
opera.
something we saw not that long ago.
Maria de Buenos Aires, which is interesting, fascinating opera. March 12th, Liza with a Z Minnelli.
Interesting, since very soon there's going to be the premiere of the new Fosse Verdon series on FX.
That could be fun. James Taylor and Jack Kerouac. Jack Kerouac was the quote-unquote progenitor of the Beat generation.
Oh.
And he also was kind of the progenitor as well of the hippie movement. So it's interesting, although he didn't like some of their radical, crazy things that they did, but he was part of that movement as well. Also on March 12th, friend of ours, Lizzie Crow and Pia Thrasher. March 13th, William H. Macy and Percival Lowell, the Lowell Observatory up in Flagstaff. And Charles Grey Hott. He's the second Earl Grey. His last name was not Hott. It was Grey. Charles Grey.
But I'm sure somebody thought that he was hot.
Yeah. Well, you never know. And Laith Preston, good friend of ours. And March 14th, Albert Einstein, Michael Caine.
Michael Caine. You got to say it that way. It's Michael Caine.
Michael Caine. And Quincy Jones and Diane Arbus, a famed photographer, and Casey Jones, who was not only a train in Dumbo, he was actually an engineer on trains. And Georg Philipp Telemann, who was instrumental
Amazing
in
Baroque composer.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. And Telemann was, I believe, was it Telemann that was the priest? I think so. And he would... Anyway, long story about that. And Johann Strauss the Elder. Rick Dees.
Who you met.
Yes, I actually sat next to him.
You guys had a conversation going.
First class all the way from Atlanta to Phoenix, and sat there and chatted the whole way here to Phoenix. Also on March 14th, Billy Crystal, Graham Skipper, a friend of ours, and Sky Robinson, a former classmate of mine who died just recently. Rest in peace, Sky. March 15th, Judd Hirsch, David Cronenberg, and Harry James, who is a famous trumpet player and band leader in the 40s and on. And also a friend of ours, Rhonda Parrish and Katrina Smutney. March 16th, Jerry Lewis, who is Sherry Lewis's husband.
It's a fact.
And Victor Garber, Todd McFarlane, Gore Verbinski, and Alan Tudyk, and a friend of ours, Facebook friend, Victoria Mature.
I want... so is her child like Victoria immature?
Yes, that was her mother.
Oh, okay.
March 17th, Kurt Russell, Rob Lowe, Gary Sinise, and Alexander McQueen, who you wrote a review of, of the documentary on.
Yes,
his.
He was the fashion designer.
Yes, and Nat King Cole is a very nice man.
Yeah.
Gottlieb Daimler, who was a founder of the Daimler Corporation, who actually was the progenitor of the Mercedes-Benz, and Alfred Newman, composer, and Reed Timmer, the tornado chaser, who we saw one of the Dominators on the way back.
We had no idea what was going on. We're
like,
driving
what
home.
The heck is that thing?
We were on our way to Albuquerque. We were somewhere in Texas, and I'm doing the driving, and I look in the rearview mirror, and there is this thing behind us that is slowly gaining speed, and I had no idea what the hell it was. You wake up just in time for you to see it, and then I guess you wrote something on Facebook about it.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Oh, you saw the tornado chaser!" And I'm like, "I have no idea what you guys are talking about."
Yeah. And then we started following him. It's an amazing little thing that he has, but interesting.
Yeah.
Also, Stephen Harris, a friend of mine from a previous work engagement. So that's it for the birthdays this time.
Hi, my name is Joe Hogan, and I'm a geek. And if you're currently listening to this, there's a good chance you're a geek too. So check out my podcast, Geektitude. Each week, I talk with somebody about their geek aptitude. Sometimes I talk to people in a geeky profession. Sometimes it's someone doing something really cool with their geekiness. Often it's another geeky podcaster. But it's always someone who wants to share their inner geek. So join me each week as we come together to geek out about all the geeky stuff we love. And remember, this week, keep it geek.
Go give a listen to our friend Joe over at Geektitude. There was lots of geeks in that promo, wasn't there?
A lot of eeks.
Eeks, lots of eeks, geeks.
Yes, I was noticing that too.
Yeah. So go give him a listen. And now it's time for what? The dancing droids.
Yeah. Have the dancing droids gone away?
Dancing geeks.
Yes. So, yes, this is our feedback section. So starting off with some feedback from episode 207. This is where we interviewed Russ Emanuel, and he simply comes back with thank you so much for the interview we gave him. And then got a comment from Raz Yalov, and he says, "Thanks for the shout-out." It was his birthday, I believe.
Yes.
Said, "As a kid, I always liked sharing my birthday with Jules Verne." Well, that'd be kind of cool. And then got a series of comments for my review of the movie Shared Rooms as part of Ben's Gay Breakdown. First, got a comment from Chris Pearson, and on Instagram, he's a Bostonian boy. And he says, "Thank you so much, guys." Got a comment from Alec Manley Wilson, also on Instagram. He gave two comments. Read the last one, or his first one last week, and then he gave a second one. He says, "Thanks so much. Thanks for the shout out. You guys are awesome." And then we got a comment from Guest House Films. They were the production company that made the movie. And they said, "What a delightful review. Thank you for sharing the love." We were happy
You're
to
welcome.
do it. I loved that movie so very much. Then got a comment for A Dog's Journey, the trailer, movie coming in May 2019. Got a comment from Michael Fadden. He said, "The first film was good, but I'm not sure a sequel is necessary." To be honest, I didn't even know they were two separate films.
Yes, they're two separate films.
I didn't know. Oh, well, there's a reason. I didn't want to. It's the subject matter is a bit stiff for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want to follow up on that personally, but I'm told it's a good movie. And then got a comment from Keith's favorite sister, Lynn, and this is in regards to an article, "What I Look For in a Dining Experience."
And I just happened to mention Slick's Barbecue in there, just talking
It's an institution.
about being a hole in the wall that, looks kind of rough but has some fabulous food.
And Lynn wrote, "Oh, Slicks, I can almost still taste it when I think back."
Yes.
And then got a comment from Ruth Mayer Hill. Now, this is in regards to the review I did for the movie Third Man Out. And that also stars Sebastian Spence. And Ruth Mayer Hill actually knows Sebastian. She interviewed him, and she's become friends with him. She said, "I shared this on Sebastian's fan-run Facebook page, on Twitter, and I sent him the link. Thanks for reviewing this film." I haven't heard anything from Sebastian. I haven't heard a thing. I hope that he's read it, because I think he's really awesome.
It would be fun.
Yeah, exactly. And then we had an article. TG Geeks welcomes E.M. Knowles to writing staff. And we got a comment from somebody named E.M. Knowles. I have no idea who she is. And she says, "Super jazz to be."
Yay.
And then lastly, I believe this is lastly. Yes, it is. I did a little 3-episode thoughts on season 2 of Star Trek Discovery, and we got a comment from Michael Hickerson,
who is our one of our new contributors.
Yes, and he says, okay, now I'm fascinated to get Keith's feedback on this one. Unlike you guys, I liked season 1 a good deal, feeling it's the best first season of a Trek series since the original series.
Oh, sorry. I was choking on I took a drink of water.
Yeah, right.
No,
we did not like the first season. And just as an FYI, I decided to take a look back at a first season episode a couple of weeks back, and my opinion still stands.
Yeah, it's just
I just don't like it.
Just lots of things.
There's a lot of things wrong with it,
and it's just us.
Yeah.
Just me.
Just us. But he follows up. But I'm on board for the course corrections that season 2 has made, and feel like we have something that is a bit more in the spirit of what Trek is now than we had in season 1. Thank you. That said, I'm curious to see how some things will play out over the course of season 2. Seems like they're working very hard to give us a reason or two as to why Spock never mentions Burnham during the entire 50 years of Trek up to this point. And I can't help but feel that Tilly, seeing someone who isn't there, feels a bit like Crichton losing his mind to the Scorpius implant from Farscape's second season. That did not escape me, Hicks. Yep. I caught that same thing. I'm glad someone else thought that. And then he finishes off with, we will see where this all takes us. And that is our feedback for this week.
Yeah, so that is... you can leave us feedback as well. You can comment on our Facebook page on any of the articles, because we post all of our articles to Facebook. Our episodes post there as well. You can comment there. You can comment on our YouTube episodes, or you can go to tggeeks.com, where everything is published, and you can receive a shout out on a future episode if you comment any of those places, including Instagram and Twitter and MySpace, wherever you find us. We also have a listener feedback line. You can call 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357, and leave us a message, and we'll play that on air as well. And if you do leave us a comment or feedback on the listener feedback line or any place else, remember, please play nice.
I'm Michelle Romano, and I love the Two Gay Geeks.
I thought I'd change it up a little bit.
Yeah, I thought, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, just change it up and add something different for the second segment.
I hope we don't abandon some of the old music. I mean, the old music is awesome, too.
Yeah, some of it is pretty good. So we have a couple of things that we have watched recently, namely, and this is spoiler-free, Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what a film. We got to see that as on a press screening.
It was a private press screening.
Private press VIP screening. Yeah. And wow, I walked out wow. I don't know what else to say. It was a very affirming, a very good film. Lots of stuff that they're trying to backfill and not necessarily...
Good word, backfill. Yeah.
Not necessarily retcon, but they did some of that as well, just to kind of fill in the...
I don't really think there's much retconning. No, backfill is a really good term, though.
Retconning only in the sense of what the Marvel Cinematic Universe has become.
Oh, yeah.
As different from the Marvel
It's a completely different canon. It doesn't fall in line. We had a discussion with another critic friend of ours who was there, and there was a story element that he really could not get past. And I had to keep saying, this, one thing that
this is a different universe.
This is a completely different Earth, a completely different universe. It's not Earth 616 that most of the Marvel titles come from. This is something that is...
I thought it was 666.
No.
Or 626?
No.
Oh, no, that's Stitch.
That's Stitch. No, in episode 666 that's where Hellboy's from.
Oh, I see.
I just made that up. But no,
We're making up our own canon as we go.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, the TG Geeks canon, TG Geeks Earth. But no, it's a completely different universe, completely different canon. And to be honest, I actually kind of liked it. Was it surprising? Yes, but it played against type. Now, a lot of people may not know what that means. See the movie, and I think you'll understand what I mean when I say that this plays against certain stereotypes, which I really enjoyed a great deal. As for the acting, I thought the cast was great. And how can you go wrong with Samuel Jackson?
Yeah, exactly.
He was wonderful in this.
He was great. And it, like I said, it did a lot of backfilling to help us along with finding out some of the history and some of the things without giving anything away. You know, just they filled in a lot of interesting tidbits that help you to understand some things. And I will say that the beginning of the film is like, huh?
It's supposed to be.
What?
Yeah, it is supposed to be.
And then about, 18 minutes in or so?
About 18 to 20.
I said, oh, out loud.
Yeah. It's, and we have a review out there on our website at tggeeks.com, and we'll have the link for that review for the show notes for this particular episode. But yeah, the first scene, or maybe the first scene to the first act, is terribly disjointed for a reason.
Yes. But as far as being a good film, I thought it was a great
Terribly
film.
enjoyable.
Unfortunately, there are some elements that are trying to tear this film down, and for various reasons, and I'm not going to go into that, but Captain Marvel is
It's
great,
very enjoyable.
very affirming. Speaking of, I mean, it came out on National Women's Day, and I think it's a great thing because one of the co-directors is a woman, the composer is a woman, several of the producers are women. I mean, there were lots of very strong women in the film itself. It was a great film all the way around. I enjoyed it.
I had a great time with it. I want to see it again.
And not knowing anything about Captain Marvel.
Well, that's the great thing.
Who the hell is Captain Marvel? You know?
Yeah. Well, that's something that you've brought up with past Marvel movies. Why you like them so much, and that is, you can go in there and be experienced, enjoy it. Nonetheless, because it doesn't feel like you're watching Marvel 101, if you know what I mean. Or you can go there, a complete blank slate on the subject and then still enjoy it because it's not info dump.
It's just a good film. Yeah. I mean, there may be some question, but Marvel has kind of almost said that they're really not. They're making these films for fans across the board.
Yeah,
but more especially for the fan that's not necessarily a comic book fan. So they have to answer
That's not
these
an easy
things,
thing to do.
Yeah, and do a lot of things that you normally wouldn't do. And because if they had just made it for the comic book fans,
it'd gone over your head.
They would not have been as successful as they are.
None of their movies would have been successful, and the entire franchise, the whole thing would have fallen apart.
Yep.
But then at the same time, if they had made movies that were solely for the newbie, then there's another third of their fan base that would have been completely lost too. Because who wants to watch Marvel 101? No, I mean I don't want to see that.
So it's a delicate balancing act that they do, and I think they do a great job.
They do a
with
masterful job of it. Moving on. We found a new series. We'd seen this little blur pop up on Netflix, and then our contributor, Andrea Richoff, did a review. It was more than a 3-episode review. I believe she reviewed the entire season of a television show called Umbrella Academy.
Oh, my God.
Wow. This is, I mean, if you thought Doom Patrol was dysfunctional, you need to see this.
Wow.
This is just off the hook.
It way off the hook. But we're 7 episodes in.
Yeah, we've got 3 episodes left to watch.
Recording.
And there's talk about there being not even being a season 2.
Really?
Well,
wow.
I think a lot of people are saying there's no need for a season 2.
Oh, wow.
We have no idea since we haven't watched it.
Right. But I think it's fascinating. It's just quirky and weird, and that just kind of scratches all those
spots.
all
those geeky spots. It's terribly offbeat. I think the characters are amazing. I really like them a lot. I'm especially enamored with number 5.
Yes.
Largely because the actor, I mean, that kid is just freaking great.
Yes, he is. He has this ability to play an old man and,
And at the same time,
be 14 years old.
Yeah, and that's a tough thing to do. To have that kind of, and it's not a small part, it's a very, very big role.
Yeah.
But they're all really interesting, and you kind of start to see all the pieces begin to come together. I mean, like with any dysfunctional group, they've got to learn to, accept themselves for who they are before they can, and then start to accept each other before you finally have your, for lack of a better term, your Justice League.
Yeah, and we also see Robert Sheehan, who we actually covered in Song of Sway Lake. Mm-hmm. He was in that film.
That's right.
And a couple of other people. So
I didn't even recognize him at first.
I know.
Well, because he had his clothes on.
Well, true, but he's just plays an interesting character.
He plays an interesting character,
and you find out it's just a little bit at a time, and a little bit at a time, and then you finally say, my God, no wonder he's so screwed up.
Yeah, he's a mess, and there's a reason he's a mess.
And all of them are a mess.
They're all
really
a mess, but his is really special, and it touched on a very personal point. For I know for me, I'm pretty sure for you too. It's a fascinating series. I can't wait to watch the rest of it this weekend. I'm dying to get through the rest of it. But yeah, if you haven't checked it out yet, do so. Umbrella Academy on Netflix. It's amazing.
It is worth seeing. And go see Captain Marvel.
That too.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
And if you are a transgendered person or considering that and you're in crisis, you can call the hotline 877-565-8860 in the U.S. and in Canada 877-330-6366 or check out translifeline.org. And we had a busy week. Another busy week.
Very busy week.
Busy week.
Yes.
Busy.
So, starting off with Sunday, March 3rd, we had, as always, Dr. Zombie, Monster Family Physician, this time number 38.
Is it 38?
Well, that's what it says. You wrote that, not me.
I did it. I did it this time.
Also, on Sunday the 3rd, that's when we had a little article welcoming Michael Hickerson as a contributor to TG Geeks.
Yay.
On Monday, March 4, TG Geeks Webcast episode number 211. Also, had as a press release, Paradise, the movies Paradise and Bent, available during March on Film Movement Plus SVOD platform. I'm going to guess that
Streaming.
Is it streaming video on demand?
Correct.
Okay. And then we had a new trailer released for the movie Shazam. I was waiting for the lightning bolt to come in and change you into a superhero.
Yeah.
Shazam! That didn't. Darn it.
Shazam.
I turned into Gomer Pyle. Yeah. And then on Tuesday, March 5th, Ben's Gay Breakdown, this time for the psychological horror film Devil's Path.
Wow.
Because that movie came out
strange film,
but it has a really powerful ending.
Exactly.
And that movie is now available on video on demand. And then also my review for the movie Captain Marvel, that came out also on the 5th. And then Andrea's Angle, this time it's for the book That Ain't Witchcraft by Sheenan McGuire. On Wednesday, March 6th, Michael Hickerson came out with his very first article, Michael's Musings, Rumors from the Arrowverse, and wow, was that interesting.
Yeah, because we ran that article, and there was some allusion to Arrow being canceled, and it was the very next day that they made that announcement.
Yeah, so
we were early to the party. Yay, for once.
Good on you, Michael.
Instead of late to the party.
Yay, Hicks.
We're usually there after they've already cleaned up after the party.
Oh, I know. We're just looking for the table scraps on the floor. And then the 18th Tribeca Film Festival announces the feature film lineup.
Oh, and for the 35th anniversary of This Is Spinal Tap, they're going to have a special screening of it.
Oh. If they could get the three guys to actually show up, I would go.
Yeah.
Because I love that movie. And then, this was interesting. Fox Searchlight, they released a new trailer.
Second trailer.
Yes, a second trailer for the movie Tolkien. Now this
it's like, what? Yeah. I didn't know there was a first one.
I'd heard that they were thinking about a movie, and this is a movie about the life of Tolkien. His growing up, meeting the woman who became his wife, going to war, the whole thing, and how that spurred him on to writing The Hobbit and then The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. And we posted both trailers in that article as well.
Yeah, we had no idea there was a first trailer.
Yeah.
No clue. And then new Brightburn trailer released by Sony. Brightburn, that's like superhero horror.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then on Thursday, March 7th.
Super anti-hero more.
Super anti-hero, yeah. Yeah, that's about right. And then Al Sparrow came out with one of his, actually I think this is his first article, Al's Affectations, Doom Patrol Review. And also that day, Arizona International Film Festival, the documentaries from the year 2018. And then Disney's Dumbo to soar with Spirit Airlines. That was an interesting little press release.
They put the Dumbo logo on the livery on Spirit Airlines plane. So,
and then on Friday, March 8th, new sushi number 53, 1 year and a week now. Morsels of news from Japan and beyond.
Is that what 53 is? 1 year and a week?
I believe so. I hope so. Otherwise, I'm seriously embarrassed if I got my math all wrong.
Yeah.
And then Aaron's Arcade of Words, number 2. List of 10 villains or miscast heroes. And then on Friday, March 8th, Warner Brothers Pictures releases a new trailer for Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
It looks interesting. You get to see the monsters.
It looks interesting, yes. And then on Saturday, March 9th, Inland Pacific Ballet presents The Little Mermaid. This is really interesting.
It looks fascinating.
It's very colorful.
Very similar to what we saw at Disney World.
Disney World, yeah.
You know, with the puppets and the all that. So it looks great.
And then lastly, The Angry Birds 2. Trailer from Sony Pictures Animation.
Just because it's weird.
Just because it's weird. Although, I don't know, I kind of want to hear the, what the huh? What the huh? You know what I mean, honey?
Yeah.
Yeah. The attempts at trying to negotiate a peace treaty between the birds and the pigs.
Yes.
You have to see that on YouTube. It's hilarious.
Oh, my God. Yes. You can find all of these at tggeeks.com, as well as entries on our Facebook page. Please go to our Facebook page and or our website and comment on those articles.
Say what?
Say what? Say what? Say what? And everybody knows we're huge supporters of independent creators, whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others. Please support independent creators by buying their stuff, by talking about them, telling people about their stuff, buying their stuff. And if you go to a con, please have cash for them.
To buy their stuff.
To buy their stuff, exactly. Please consider supporting independent creators.
Special shout out to the Human Arkle. On Twitter, he is just Arkle, A-R-K-L-E. And he puts out the Arkle Times Post Dispatch News that republishes our content from time to time. So you can find the Arkle Times Post Dispatch News, as I said, by going to Twitter and searching at Arkle, A-R-K-L-E. And he's also on YouTube with his shameless cash grab. You can find him by going to YouTube and just look up Arkle Studios. That's all one word, Arkle Studios. Also, must give a shout out to a couple of Facebook groups for allowing us to post our episodes and relevant articles on their pages. First to the Gay Geeks After Hours. Thank you for allowing us to share our content there, and for the moderators simply telling us to share away. We do. And their URL is facebook.com/group/Gay Geeks After Hours. And then to The Gay Geek for allowing us I'm going too fast.
Yes.
For allowing us to share our stuff on their page. And their URL is facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek. That's all one word. Special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves, for allowing us to share all of our content there.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And lastly, we can be found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Anchor, as well as all the places that other fine podcasts can be found.
And we say that because there's places that we don't even know about yet.
Exactly. Also, you can check us out on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesdays for a replay of the episode. And you can listen to the rest of their content. They're a 24-hour geeky internet radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Up next time, we are going to have an interview, obviously. I don't want to say what it is.
You still thinking about it?
Because I'm still thinking about it. We got several things in the can. And just in case something timely comes up, I don't want to spill beans on that. So,
good point.
We'll have a great show for you next time. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357 from TG Squared Studios. I am Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Peace.
Cheers. Say what?
Say what?